France resumes production of 1,000 kilometers range naval cruise missile. France has restarted production of its naval cruise missile after a production halt that began in 2021, according to reporting by Le Parisien. The missile in question is the MdCN, also known as the Scalp Naval cruise missile, developed by MBDA from 2006 and operational since 2017. Production stopped after the completion of earlier contracts. Le Parisien reported leaving France with a limited inventory of a weapon it has used operationally only 3 times, all in 2018. The decision to restart the production line reflects a broader French assessment that long-range precision strike munitions need to be stocked in greater depth for the kind of sustained high-intensity conflicts that French defense planners are now actively preparing for. The MdCN holds a specific place in France's strike architecture as the deepest striking weapon in the naval inventory. With a range of up to 1,000 kilometers, it can be launched from vertical launch systems aboard FREMM-class multi-mission frigates or from torpedo tubes on Suffren-class nuclear attack submarines, targeting land objectives from standoff distances that keep the launching platform well outside most adversary air defense envelopes. That dual-platform launch flexibility, surface ship and submarine, gives French naval commanders meaningful options for how and from where a strike is executed, with submarines offering concealment that surface ships cannot match. France's original order in the years after the program launched was reduced to 200 missiles split evenly between submarines and frigates. That inventory, used sparingly over nearly a decade of service, now needs replenishment against a threat environment that looks considerably more demanding than the one that shaped the original procurement decision. MBDA, the European Missile Consortium that developed the MdCN, is the contractor behind the production restart. The company has been managing an expanding workload across multiple European long-range strike programs as NATO member states accelerate munitions procurement, and the French naval cruise missile restart adds to that demand. Picture the MdCN shares design DNA and industrial heritage, with the Scalpeg, the air-launched version of the same missile family that French Rafale fighters carry, and which French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu announced in 2025 would also see its own production restarted. Restarting both the air-launched and naval variants of the Scalp family in close succession signals a coherent French strategy of rebuilding depth across its precision strike inventory rather than prioritizing one delivery method over another. The operational context behind the French decision is not difficult to read. Ukraine's war has demonstrated that modern high-intensity conflict consumes precision munitions at rates that peacetime production assumptions never anticipated, and that the industrial pipelines behind those weapons matter as much as the weapons themselves. France used its MdCN stockpile in 2018 against Syrian chemical weapons facilities in a coalition strike alongside the United States and the United Kingdom. The only documented operational employment of the System 3 uses from a 200 missile inventory over nearly a decade of service meant the stockpile was barely touched in peacetime conditions. The calculus looks very different when defense planners are wargaming scenarios involving sustained strikes against a peer adversary's military infrastructure over weeks or months rather than a single coordinated salvo. The FREMM frigates that carry the MdCN in their vertical launch cells are among France's most capable surface combatants, designed from the outset for the multi-mission role that the name describes: anti-submarine warfare, air defense, and surface strike, all from the same hull. The MdCN gives those ships a land attack capability that extends their operational utility well beyond naval warfare into the broader joint strike role that modern naval forces are increasingly expected to fill. French nuclear attack submarines of the Suffren-class represent the concealed delivery option for the same missile, and the combination of overt frigate-launched and covert submarine-launched strike capability from a single weapon gives French strike planners a genuine operational flexibility that fewer Western navies can match. Restarting a cruise missile production line is not a fast process. The supply chains for precision guidance systems, warheads, propulsion components, and airframe structures involve specialized suppliers whose own capacity constraints determine how quickly production can actually ramp. The 2021 halt means some of those supply relationships will need to be reactivated, and some suppliers may have reduced their own capacity in the intervening years. The timeline from restart decision to meaningful inventory replenishment is measured in years rather than months, which makes the timing of the French decision significant. Restarting now builds inventory for a threat environment that French planners clearly expect to persist and potentially intensify through the latter half of this decade. France used its Scalp naval missiles carefully and infrequently when it had them. It is restarting production because it now expects to need more of them and wants the industrial pipeline running before the need becomes acute.